Is it just
Everyone must have prospects. Central's got a right pair.
We've told about the flat. You moving in? Or you catching rats?
I'm a palmist, you know. You come up sometime and I'll tell you a fortune.
Be Wills! Who's after you, Mr. Peters? Villains? The law?
That's only it was. It's worse than that. It's the Inland Revenue.
A bad move, no wheels and a taxman. Monday prospects at 9 on Central. Drugs, the addicts, the pushers, the prevention, the cure. Central brings you the hard facts about hard drugs. The first programme looks at the treatment of addicts and government policy regarding drugs. War on Drugs, a Monday special continuing Tuesday and Wednesday at 10:30 on Central.
In around 15 minutes, we're proud to bring you the true story of escape from Sobibor. That follows the news and weather, which are just around the corner, here on Central.
There are some rather enticing features on Hitachi's new FST televisions. From a new computer-controlled teletext system Fast Text, for those in a great hurry, to soft-touch remote control. But above all, these Hitachi TVs have the most astonishingly lifelike pictures. And with Hitachi's 5-year guarantee, you'd be off your Nelly to look at any other telly.
Poor girl, shut away until she has a money-spinning idea. Fortunately, Rumpelstiltskin knew of a toilet tissue that was soft, wide, thick, long, and surprisingly strong. So the king married her because however large your family, Andrex saves a king's ransom. Andrex, the legendary toilet tissue.
Well, James, you have done well. To think you started with just £500. Clever of you to give your money the 5-star treatment. High interest with rates that rise automatically the more you save. Money always there, should you need it. And no loss of interest. Very smart, James. Very smart.
James, we'll be late.
It pays to save with a 5-star account.
Family from Crewe who said only a Myra will do.
I like the way you can vary the spray. It's easy to work and safe too.
Doobity-doobity-doo. Gives me total control, does the Myra.
I think just a whimsy bit hurrah. Even the family pets enjoys getting wet. Myra's everything you could desire.
Mixer showers and electrics. For the finest choice of family showers, you've got to admire a Myra.
The Nazi Holocaust had few tales of triumph. Of those few, this was probably the greatest.
There's no escape from Sobibor. There's only death.
There's no turning back now.
A remarkable story of overwhelming courage, bravery, and sacrifice. An international cast starring Escape from Sobibor.
Just a gentle reminder that Central are the only station with more programmes 7 late nights a week. Now the very latest news from ITN.
Mrs. Thatcher will tell us tomorrow when we go to the polls. Republicans march for dead IRA men. Bow down for a disaster rerun. And it's a family day out at the park. Good evening. Mrs. Thatcher is back at Downing Street tonight after meeting her senior ministers at Chequers to decide the date of the election. The latest opinion poll brought the Prime Minister more good news. The Harris poll gives the Tories an 11-point lead over Labour. The poll, carried out in 80 constituencies, puts the Conservatives on 44%, Labour 33% and the Alliance 21%.
Is it June, Mrs. Thatcher?
Mrs. Thatcher was still giving nothing away as she returned tonight. Nothing about election dates, that is. Merely confirming it was Mr. Thatcher's birthday.
Many happy returns.
Indeed, out at Chequers, the Prime Minister's husband had celebrated with a little golf practice. perhaps having decided that some relaxation was in order before the campaign trail starts. The run-up to it, as well as the campaign itself, will have been discussed today. Chief Whip John Wakeham will have advised the Chequers meeting about salvaging unfinished business at Westminster. The car full of lords which followed, Lord Young in charge of the manifesto on this side and Lord Whitelaw, will have offered advice about presenting the Tory programme once campaigning begins. And following their chauffeured lordships, the self-driving Mr Tebbit will have gone over the fine points of the campaign strategy. Others were doing the same. The Alliance called in their campaign strategy committee tonight and declared themselves more than ready for the off, whenever it is.
I don't mind. 4th, 11th, 18th. Quite happy, whatever date it is. We're ready.
Just as soon as possible.
As soon as possible. We're ready as soon as she gives the signal.
What about the result? Would you like to predict that?
I think it's not going to be as good as she hopes it will.
And a similar message came from the man running Labour's campaign.
We are better prepared for this election campaign than we have ever been before. We have the organisation, we have the policies, we have the commitment, but most of all, we have the spur of knowing that if we were to fail, it would be the British people who would pay the price.
But Mr Gould, like the rest of us, will have to wait for the official word from number 10, probably at around lunchtime tomorrow.
Hundreds of Republican supporters have marched through Belfast 2 days after the killing of 8 IRA men in a police and army ambush at Loch Gall. Police say the weapons taken from the gunmen had been used in 7 murders. 4 of the victims were members of the Ulster Defence Regiment. The others were builders who'd helped repair bomb-damaged police stations.
Republican supporters marched through West Belfast today to commemorate the men who died in the hunger strike 6 years ago, in defiance of police warnings.
You are therefore liable to prosecution and penalty, and I implore you to disperse forthwith.
The organisers and Sinn Féin President Gerry Adams had appealed to the crowd to stage an orderly and dignified demonstration as a memorial not only to the hunger strikers, but to the 8 IRA men killed by security forces on Friday when they attacked Loch Gall police station in County Armagh. Police and army monitored the demonstration, making no attempt to stop it, and surrounded the rally at the end of the march, where Sinn Féin's Danny Morrison called for an end to sporadic street violence like car hijackings and a move to more organised militancy. Last night, 20 vehicles were hijacked in Belfast, and police say 200 petrol bombs were thrown. Trouble also flared in Londonderry, where shots were fired at soldiers. Police made 4 arrests when they uncovered arms and explosives, including a Russian-made RPG rocket launcher in West Belfast. Following their undercover operation at Loch Gall, it was a second major victory for the Security Forces Intelligence Network. Anne Lucas, ITN, Northern Ireland.
4 people are in hospital tonight with serious knife wounds after rival gangs of Sikhs clashed at a religious meeting in Kent. Police have appealed for calm among the Sikh community in Erith and Belvedere. Officers armed with riot shields broke up the fighting. 49 people are still being held. The injured included a man whose throat had been cut. Police seized several weapons, including ceremonial swords and daggers. The last moments of the Herald of Free Enterprise were reenacted today, 9 weeks after the Zeebrugge disaster. Maritime experts used a sister ship to find fresh clues to the capsize, and they said later their voyage had been a success.
Crew members held a service as scientific preparations for the sea trials were underway, throwing a single wreath overboard before passing their refloated sister ship. Sailing into the same berth she occupied on March the 6th. A short distance away, the mechanical graveyard of wrecked cars and lorries taken off the Herald. Today, lorries were loaded onto the Pride of Free Enterprise. Using ballasting and freight, the scientists were simulating the situation on board the Herald in all but a few areas.
The most crucial distinction is here on the bridge control panel. Simple green and red door indicator lights which would have averted the disaster on March the 6th. Townsend Torrison have added to this sophisticated video monitoring equipment.
The cameras are able to show to the bridge closure of the bow doors. The Pride left port following exactly the same course as her sister ship, at the same speed. Scientists using computers and video cameras monitored all movements, specifically the bow wave. It soon became evident that the way the ship was